In today's lesson, we're still going to be solving by factoring. There is one major difference though. Yesterday, all of the equations that we had were already set equal to 0. And before you can solve by factoring, we have to set the equation equal to 0. So step number 1, get equal to 0 if it's not already been done. So what I need to do, I always like to keep my squared term positive. So I'm going to move the 2b to the other side. And then I need to subtract the 24 over. Now, that's going to cancel everything over here. It's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to write it a little bit bigger on the next line. B squared plus 2b minus 24 equals 0. Once I have it rearranged like this, it's going to be the factoring that we did in the last chapter and in the last lesson. We need factors of negative 24 that add up to 2. And again, I'm going to use 6 and negative 4 because that gives me 2 when I add. So I bring down b squared plus 6b from here minus 4b from my table, and then minus 24. And again, all I did was split up that middle term. I'm going to group the first two, group the last two. These both have a b in common, b plus 6, and these both have a negative 4 in common, b plus 6. The b plus 6's match up. And then on my other one, I have b minus 4. Now, I am still solving, so this is equal to 0. And I take each set, b plus 6 equal to 0, b minus 4 equal to 0, subtract my 6, add my 4, and I get b equals negative 6 and b equals 4. And those are the two answers that I put into the answer box. So we're going to look at a couple more. All right, this is another example. And again, I cannot factor, even though these have something in common, I cannot factor it until I have the equation equal to 0. So the first thing that I need to do is subtract the 9 over. So r squared plus 8r minus 9 equals 0. And then I make my t-chart. Factors of 1 times negative 9 that add up to 8. And I'm going to use 9 and negative 1 because I know that those will add up to 8 and they multiply to give me negative 9. So I bring down my r squared. I split up my 8r into positive 9r and negative 1r using these numbers from the table. Minus 9, group. There's a plus in between there. These both have an r in common. R plus 9. These both have the negative in common, so negative 1. R plus 9, because when I take and divide the negative by negative, I get r, and negative 9 divided by negative 1 is 9. These match up. And then my other set, I get the r minus 1. Set each of those equal to 0. R plus 9 equals 0. R minus 1 equals 0. subtract the 9, and add the 1. Oops, r equals 1. All right, so again, make sure that you get everything equal to 0 before you start factoring. And this is the last example for today. It looks like it might be a little bit easier because this side's already been factored. However, it's not equal to 0. So this isn't going to help. I'm going to have to get it equal to 0, which is going to require me to distribute this out. So I get 9v squared plus v equals 8. And then I have to move my 8 over. So 9v squared plus v minus 8 equals 0. So now I have to look at the t-chart. I need factors of negative 72 that are going to add up to 1. And so I'm going to use the 9 and negative 8. Or negative 8 and 9 that I got from the original problem. All right, so I'm going to use these to break up my middle term. So I have 9v squared, then minus 8v, and then plus 9v, and then minus 8. And then I group, and I know when I wrote these down I said it one way and I flipped it around and wrote it the other way. It doesn't matter if you put the 9 here and the 8 here. As long as the 8 is negative and the 9 is positive, it would have worked out to be the same once you get your final answer. So these both have a v in common, and that leaves 9v minus 8. These both have a 1 in common, 9v minus 8. Those match up. My other set, I get v plus 1. Set each of those equal to 0. Subtract this over. Divide by 9. And then subtract the 1 over. So my answers are negative 1 and negative 8 over 9 that I would enter in. So again, the key is make sure that you get everything equal to 0, then factor. Once you have it factored, set each set of parentheses equal to 0, and then solve each one of those. If you have any questions, ask me in class.